Hello, chess fans. Welcome to another edition of Chess Chat, a program brought to you live from the Workers' Credit Union studios at Fitchburg Access Television. I am George Marajanian, Program Director of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University. This club, the second oldest chess club in Massachusetts, meets every Wednesday evening from 6:30 to 10:30 in rooms 142 and 143 of the McKay Complex at the university. And with me today for this edition of Chess Chat is once again our award-winning director, Darren Dame of Fitchburg, recipient of FATV's prestigious Boulder Award in 2009. He's assisted in the control room by fellow resident and longtime Wachusett Chess Club member Brian Bigelow. And sitting next to me is my friend, trusty colleague, associate, chess author, chess photographer, active tournament player, Wachusett Chess Club statistician, and an all-around good guy, Dave Couture of Westminster. Hello there, Dave.
Hello, George.
Well, Dave, sitting across from us is our special guest for this edition of Chess Chat. He is Don Ostrowski. And Don Ostrowski is no stranger to us because he is a member of the Wachusett Chess Club at Fitchburg State University. And he comes with a very impressive background, credentials. I want Don, well, first of all, welcome to Chess Chat.
Thank you.
You're making your debut. I want you to tell our viewers a little something about yourself, a little something about your background for our viewers to know about you.
Well, I grew up in Reading, Pennsylvania, and I learned chess from my father. And of course, after a short time, I began to beat him, so he stopped playing me.
Yes.
And my first chess tournament was in 1963 at Penn State University. It was the U.S. Junior Open Tournament Championship.
Yes.
And Donald Byrne,
international master. He became an international master.
International Grandmaster, was the head adjudicator.
Yes.
And I continued playing chess off and on for many years. But got more involved in study of history, historical study, did graduate work at San Francisco State, and then at Penn State, where I got my PhD. Spent a couple years in the Soviet Union doing research there. And somewhere along the line, I let the competitive chess slide. And it was fortuitous that, George, you were giving the Saturday sessions.
Oh, at the Fitchburg Public Library.
At the Fitchburg Public Library, open to anyone who wanted to come. And my wife said, well, why don't you go down there? And I was, I don't know.
Right.
And I went down, and you said, well, you know, why don't you come to the club? And that was 2017.
Right.
And I did, and pretty soon I'm playing. And I'm back
I remember
into
your
competitive
first tournament. It was January of 2018. Yeah, the Reggie Boone Memorial.
Wow.
That's right.
Don played in. Yeah.
Good memory.
He joined the U.S. Chess Federation, and you got hooked again. You got rehooked.
I got rehooked.
You got
exactly.
rehooked. Okay. Now, but your claim to fame is your academic credentials. I mean, what have you been doing now for the past 40 years that our viewers should know about?
I've been teaching and doing research and publishing. I've been teaching at the Harvard University Extension School.
Yes.
Which is one of the schools of Harvard University. And it caters to the community, as they call it. And now it's the world community, because people from all over the world can take courses at the Extension School.
Yes.
During that time, I taught Ukrainian history.
Wow.
I taught Russian history.
Yes.
But then I decided to specialize in world history. Because there was no world history courses at Harvard University.
Harvard University had no world history courses?
No world history courses. So I had been teaching a Western Civ, 2-semester Western Civ course.
Yes.
And I, proposed to the dean that I do a 2-semester world history. He says, well, what are you going to leave out from the Western Civ? And I said, well, actually, if we made it a 4-semester world history, I wouldn't have to leave anything. So that's what it's been since 1992. It's been a 4-semester course.
All right. So you are a scholar. You're a historian, a scholar as far as your knowledge of Russian and Ukrainian history is rather extensive. In fact, I want to point to our viewers that you just recently, over the past few months, came out with a book. You published a book. I brought this book because you gave me this book because there was a section, a few pages devoted to chess. You said you thought I'd be interested, but the book I'm going to show show it to this camera right here. Yeah. Now, the title of this book, I got to read it here, is Russia in the Early Modern World. Right. The subtitle is The Continuity of Change. Now, looking at this book, and I've read, I have not devoured this whole book because I could tell that you devoted thousands and thousands of hours doing research and putting this book together. Did you not? I mean,
yes, I began
when did you begin this book?
Well, 15, 16 years ago,
wow.
And I intended it to be a short book.
Yes, right.
Maybe 150 pages.
Right, at the most, right.
And
it's close to 600 pages.
Yes. It's close, yes. And it just, I just kept adding things and revising and getting feedback from my colleagues, and finally it came out.
So our viewers actually, this is a great, based on what I've seen, I mean, those who are interested in Russian history should get this book if they're really into Russian history. Should they not?
It's a little expensive.
All right. Well, for those of you,
you could get your library to order it.
Well, you could actually, But I'm saying that it's a great book. If people would Google your name, Donald Ostrowski, they would be able to find how to get, if they wanted to order the book themselves, or go to their libraries and urge their library to get the book, to purchase. Let the library purchase the book. Right. Yeah, and let the book visitors visit their library. Now,
what years does this cover?
Oh, this is extensive.
1450 to 1798 or so.
Okay.
Right. So early modern.
Yeah, early modern.
In the broadest sense, early modern.
Now, the reason I invited Don on the program, because the subject, the title of our program for this chess chat is the impact that this Russian-Ukrainian war is having on international chess, and it is having an effect. Yeah. Now, we're going to let our readers know, our viewers know how this is affecting. Well, it's affecting the Ukrainians very much, but it's also affecting chess players, and especially both Russian and Ukrainian chess players. And there was an open letter that was sent by 44 Russian chess players to Vladimir Putin protesting this war.
Right.
And we actually have a copy of one of the translations of this letter that was sent to Putin. It was mid-April. I think you told me that it was mid-April that this letter was sent. I'm going to have you and Don read this letter that was signed, courageously signed by 44 Russian players. And then after you finish the letter, we're going to show some photos of some of the more prominent, prominent Russian players who signed it and those who didn't.
Right.
But why don't you start off actually, how did this letter to Vladimir Putin start that was sent to him?
So it's titled Appeal of the Russian Chess Players to the President of the Russian Federation.
Okay.
So it starts, we are against any military action on the territory of Ukraine and call for an immediate ceasefire and a peaceful decision to the conflict through the path of dialogue and diplomatic negotiations. For us, it is unbearably painful to see the catastrophe that is happening these days with our people.
Okay.
And we've played for Russia in individual, and which is a special honor, team competitions. We are sure that chess and sports in general should unite people. Our country has done its best to organize the most complex and prestigious international events, even at the peak of the pandemic.
Chess teaches you to be responsible for your actions. Each move is meaningful, and a mistake can bring you to a fatal point of no return. This used to be a sport, but now the human lives, human rights and freedoms, human dignity, the present and the future of our countries are at stake.
During these tragic days, we are thinking of all the people caught in the midst of this frightful conflict. We share the pain of our Ukrainian colleagues and call for peace.
The Ukrainian chess team is the reigning European team champion and one of the strongest teams in the world, like ours. We've played tens of matches and hundreds of games. For us, fair competition has always been above politics, and the Ukrainians shared this feeling. We beg you to preserve the chance for mutual respect among the teams, players, and people from both countries.
We support peace, stop the war.
Okay, so that was the letter sent, open letter sent to Putin.
Yep.
By 44, and it included grandmasters, international masters, candidate masters, non-title players, both men and women were included in this letter. Now, Darren, our director, has some photos of some of the players who signed this letter, and actually we'll also see some who didn't sign this letter.
Right.
So if Darren actually can start with some of the photos that he has actually to show. Now, here is actually a very important player. This is a Grandmaster Yan Nepomniachtchi, Russian. He is actually scheduled to start play in just a few days, I think, the first round of the so-called candidates tournament.
Right.
What is the candidates tournament? I mean,
so the candidates tournament is a tournament involving 8 of the best players in the world, the winner of which gets to face the world champion.
Magnus Carlsen.
Magnus Carlsen.
In a match next year,
right.
a title match next year. Jan Nepomniachtchi actually played Magnus Carlsen.
Right.
Was it? It was last. I think 2020. They actually did play last year, I believe. Yeah.
Yeah.
It's
everything's screwed up by the pandemic.
I know everything is. But he lost to Magnus Carlsen. Right. It was 7.5 to 3.5, I believe, was the final score.
Yeah.
But Nepomniachtchi is one of the players who signed the letter.
Right.
And again, he's going to be competing with 7 other players, 2 of whom are American players.
Right.
That's Fabiano Caruana
right.
and Hikaru Nakamura,
right.
2 Americans. Okay, so Darren has some other photos of players. Let's see if we have a photo of a player who signed the letter. Okay, who is this now?
Daniel Dubov.
This is Daniel Dubov. I think is he the youngest one? I think he's 20 years old. I have actually the ages of some of these players.
Yeah, he's fairly young.
He's young. Daniel Dubov, I believe, if I look at my list here, if I'm very careful, Daniel Dubov is 26, no?
26.
He's 26 now, right. Yeah, and actually he's been a Grandmaster since 2011. So he's not playing in, no, he's playing, no, he's not playing.
He's not.
But he's a Russian Grandmaster.
Yes.
Okay, he signed the letter.
Yep.
Okay, who else signed the letter? Let's see somebody else who signed the letter.
Well,
now here's somebody who did not sign the letter, and this is a Russian. He is Arkady Dvorkovich. Arkady Dvorkovich is president of the World Chess Federation, which is more commonly known by its French acronym, FIDE, which stands for Fédération Internationale des Échecs. So he did not sign the letter because of his position as FIDE president. Now, he has a very interesting background, by the way. You know, actually, he served as deputy prime minister of Dmitry Medvedev. Does that name ring a bell to anybody?
Oh, yes.
Dmitry Medvedev had to be was at one time the prime minister.
He was. And
at one time
they
president?
swapped.
They swapped with Putin. He swapped with Putin.
Right.
He is viewed as a close confidant of Medvedev. Yeah. But he was elected FIDE president in October 2018. And it was because, and what FIDE has done, talk about the impact that this war is having on chess. He, as FIDE president, had FIDE remove Russia as the host of the upcoming World Olympiad.
Right.
which was supposed to be going to take place in Russia, I think at the end of July, he said no, niet. He said niet, Russia's not getting it, and they found an alternate sponsor, the country of India. India found the money, I think the $10 million guarantee minimum to hold it. And this World Olympiad is going to start in Chennai, India, which is the hometown of Avishai Anand, former world champion, on July 29th, I believe, July 28th or 29th. So that's Dvorkovich.
So that was pretty courageous on his part to do
Yes,
that. I mean,
it is very courageous, but he's in a very delicate situation as FIDE president, making that. But again, he had no other choice. He had no other choice. Yeah, I mean, because there's a body. He alone cannot do that. He has to go along with the other members of the body decide. All right, now who else do we have? Do we have anybody who signed the letter? Let's see if we have another person, another player. Now this must be Esipenko.
I believe so, yeah.
Is it Andrei Esipenko? And I believe he is 20 years. He's very young.
Okay.
Esipenko, yeah. Esipenko. He only got his grandmaster title in 2018. So it's only been about 4 years. Okay, who else now do we have? Now this is an older fellow. This is Alexander Khalifman, Grandmaster Alexander Khalifman, who, by the way, became FIDE world champion. You know, there was a split years ago when Garry Kasparov had a disagreement with the world governing body and went on his own and played actually a world title match outside the realm.
Right.
Yeah, but FIDE said, wait a minute, this should be under the auspices of the FIDE.
Right.
So they did run a world championship match, and he won it. I forget what year that was.
1999.
It was 1999. Okay, very good. So I think he's actually old. He's actually like in his 40s. Yeah.
Old.
Well, old. Let's see. How old is Alexander Khalifman? Do I have his age? I'll tell you who he's. Okay.
Yeah, I see 44. Is that it there?
Khalifman. Where is Khalifman?
No, that doesn't sound right.
No. Okay. Where is Khalifman? Oh no, 56 years old. That's old for a chess player. Yeah, right. Okay. All right. Who else do we actually have here on the list of those who signed? Now, this is a former women's world champion, Alexandre Costeneux. Right. Yeah, and she signed. She's one of, and there were other women who signed, but she's a former women's world champion, Russian player who signed the letter. Anybody else who signed the letter that we can show? Oh, yeah. Here is a very popular Russian grandmaster, Peter Svidler.
Right.
Now, what can we say about Peter Svidler? Why is he so popular?
Well, I think he's been Russian champion many times.
Eight times. He's been Russian champ 8 times. But also, he's very popular because if people were to go online and just Google his name, but just Google chess, he will pop up. He does commentary. He's a very popular chess commentator on, does he do it on various sites or is it on Chess24 or Chess.com? But
Chess24 sounds right.
Chess24. He's a very, very skilled and a very accomplished chess commentator. I like him very much as a commentator. He knows what he's talking about, as far as I'm concerned. Okay, do we have any photos of others that we can present to our viewers? Okay. Now, here is somebody who did not sign the letter, who by the way, also qualified as a candidate, but was removed by FIDE as a candidate because he expressed support of Putin's war in Ukraine, and this is actually Grandmaster Sergei Karyakin.
Right.
Karyakin, who, by the way, ironically, was born in Ukraine, actually born in Crimea.
Right.
Actually, he was born in Ukraine.
He played for Ukraine for many years.
He played for Ukraine. He played for the Ukrainian team. He played under the Ukrainian flag. But he came out openly and expressed support of this aggression, this very
he was very vocal about it,
very vocal.
Yeah.
And that cost him removal as a candidate. He would have actually, if he kept his mouth shut, he would have been in the candidates tournament coming up actually in a few days. Okay, who else do we have here that we can show? Now here's somebody that our viewers should recognize if they're into chess a lot. Chess is actually a former world champion, Anatoly Karpov.
Right.
Now, did Karpov sign or not sign?
Did not sign.
No, he didn't sign. He didn't sign it. He was world champion. He won the championship in 1975, and Bobby Fischer failed to defend his title.
Right.
And then he found the challenger, and Victor Korchnoi. They played a match. He became champion because of Fischer's failure to defend his title. But Anatoly Karpov, who was actually 71, he just turned 71 last month, chose not to sign because you know why? He's a member of the Duma. What is the Duma? What should our viewers know about the Duma?
It's the equivalent of Congress. Or the Parliament.
Yeah, he's a member of Congress, the legislative body in Russia. So he's not going to sign. He did not sign.
But it's not very powerful, is it, in reality?
No. Well, Putin is.
Well, Duma means thinking.
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 Duma is the
That's
thing.
right.
Is the thing.
Rather than doing.
Doing.
Okay.
The word for doing is делать, which is to do, and думать is to think. But Karpov is a member of the Duma, not signing any open letter to Putin, protesting the war. In Russia. All right. Is that actually the extent of our? Again, we just presented just a few of the people who signed, some of them who didn't sign. Now, you found, Dave,
I've got a few
that there were some players who actually did not sign, but actually expressed opposition to the war, and they actually have been quoted. There was quoted an article.
Right.
Some of them did sign. You have actually quotes from some of the signatories.
Oh, that's right, yep.
Like Alexandre Costeneux was one of the ones.
Right.
Can you read actually some of the comments?
So we have to give credit to chess.com. Peter Doggers wrote the article.
Chess.com gets credit for this article that was
and the people that he talked about in the article were all people who were either playing in tournaments outside the country and decided not to return, or like Alexandre Costeneux.
Alexandre Costeneux.
I guess she splits her time between France and Russia, and she was in France and decided she's not going back.
Not going back to Russia?
So the first quote is from Vladimir Fedosiev.
Yes.
One of the things he said is, "I really do not want to represent them anymore, even once in life," which is a pretty strong statement. Yeah.
Strong statement.
Grandmaster Alexei Sarana said, "I love Russia a lot, but I hate all the political stuff. What our government is doing now is absolutely disgusting. I cannot accept it, but I cannot do anything about it. But I have no sympathy for this war. All the reasons are absolutely terrible." And then there's Nikita Vichugov.
Yeah, Vichugov,
who he was talking about the people who are still in Russia.
Yes.
And he said it's very tough because you can't behave normally. You can't speak out what you really think. If you support this, he puts in quotes, special operation, you can do whatever you want, but if you even allow yourself to have some doubts, then everything is against you. Every word or action can and will be used against you. It can cost you a fine, some time in jail, or your career. The cost might be very big.
All right.
So.
Okay. Now, we should point out that anyone who identifies this action, this special operation, as a war, will get arrested.
Right.
Is it against the law?
It's against the law.
Against the law to utter the word war, calling this a war.
To utter war. Yes.
So talk about freedom of speech. It doesn't exist.
Right.
Yeah, and I think we should point out that the situation is rather complex.
Yes.
Because as the letter shows, many of the Russian grandmasters have friendships with the Ukrainian grandmasters. And even if they are supportive of their government, they can't abide their colleagues being put in that position. So yes, there are those who are very much against the war, some of whom are leaving. We might add Alina Koshlinskaya to that. She's now playing for Poland instead of Russia. But the other people, it's very dangerous potentially for anyone to sign such a letter because of repercussions. Ultimately, if And it doesn't even have to be directed by Putin. It could be one of his thugs who decides he's going to take it on himself to punish this guy for signing the letter. So this was, I don't blame anybody who didn't sign the letter, because they also have to think of their families in such a case. And that really highlights the bravery, the courage of the people who did sign the letter.
Okay. Well, Don, I'm going to have you look into your crystal ball. I'm going to have you prognosticate, because we know that there are millions of Russians who support what Putin is doing in Ukraine. Is there not? Are there not people? Because of the state-controlled the media is actually, they're not getting the other side of the story. They're getting what is fed to them by the media. The media.
Yeah, but the media, that whole notion is feeding into a base that has the attitude that Ukrainians are not a separate people.
Right.
This is a long-standing notion, and that the Ukrainians are Russians who speak funny, or funny kind of Russian, and Putin in his statements is playing into that.
Right.
So that's part of. But the people who know Ukraine, the people who have been there, understand this is a separate people.
Yes.
They have a long cultural heritage, going all the way back to the 10th century, if not earlier.
Right.
And it's later Russian nationalism that wanted to put that in the 19th century, for example. The Russian government forbid the use of the Ukrainian language.
Oh, really?
Because they wanted to assimilate Ukrainians into the Russian nation.
Okay. Well, we know that all things come to it, both good and bad. This is a very bad thing which is going on.
Very bad.
Very bad. Can you prognosticate? Can you look into your crystal ball and tell us, our viewers, how or when, a very difficult question, how and when this war is going to end? Can you do that? Is it possible to prognosticate?
My crystal ball is cracked, but it is not going to. I predict it will not end with Ukraine giving up any territory.
Okay.
There has to be some other resolution. And I know there are people, Kissinger, for example, other people who are saying, well, Ukrainians should think about giving up their territory. Okay, how about the United States giving up some of its territory to Putin?
Right.
How would you feel about that?
Right.
That's the way Ukrainians feel.
Right. Exactly. Okay. So again, I knew you would say that. That's how it will eventually end, but we don't know when. How long this will drag on. It could be many more months. So anyways, and I see that by the clock on the wall, we're coming to the end of the program. I want to thank you for coming.
Yeah, thank you.
Thank you for having me.
And having you express your view as far as this war, which is definitely having impact on Russian chess players, but as well as Ukrainians chess players, and players in general are affected by this. Friendships are affected. So I hope our Chess Chat viewers enjoyed the session we had with Don Ostrowski, our special guest, and with my co-host, Dave Couture. We promise you we're going to have a special Chess Chat next time, because we're going to report on the candidates tournament, which is going to start play in Madrid, Spain. We'll have the results on the next episode of Chess Chat. Stay tuned for that. You don't want to miss that program. We'll be